Okay, and we're back. So I thought I'd just do like a short extras video, just talking a bit about the design choices for System Shock 2, because it does have some quite interesting influences. I mean, some less so than others, some a bit weird, like the protocol droids, which I presume are just supposed to be like C-3PO, but I'm not sure why that's in the game. Some more interesting, like the hybrids. The Analigs themselves seem to be inspired, or at least I think they are, by the Xenomorphs aliens. Like, well, not entirely, but partially at least. Like the way the eggs work. I remember when I first played the game, when I first played the full game, and I ran into the eggs and I saw them just explode in your face, and I was just like, yeah, that's a Xenomorph egg. Maybe that's just me though, but like, that's the vibe I get from it. The hybrids themselves are quite interesting though, because I mean, if you think about it, they are practically zombies, or they're a standing for zombies in many respects, but they are also articulate. They speak, they communicate, but they're not human at the same time. They're quite a menacing enemy. Even if the way they look in the game, just because of how old the game is now, isn't so great. I mean, I still find them a bit creepy, but you know, the years have not been good to them. Although that's true of us all, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, when you think about the design, I mean, let's look at some of the concept art. Yeah, I guess this is before they really settled on what the analog parasites would do to people. There's another picture I'll show you in a bit of like one of the earliest concept pieces of art for the game, and it shows a completely different design for the hybrids, which is quite interesting. But yeah, they settled on this whole worm in body idea. I think they explained in the logs that it sort of burrows into your chest, and then the other end goes into like your neck or your head, like this guy's going, which is very disturbing. Okay, I was wondering if we could get that a bit bigger to see the chest cavity, but apparently not. But yeah, I mean, they came before like the whole zombie craze was a thing. I mean, zombies were a big thing, well, relatively big in the 90s. I mean, that's why the Resident Evil games have zombies in, isn't it? Because people were getting big into zombies. It wasn't as big as it is now, or it has been in the last like 10 years, I guess, 10, 15 years, with stuff like Walking Dead, but it was still exciting, still a big thing for a lot of people. Because I mean, you had the whole is it Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead, you know, the Romero films, they created quite a buzz around zombies. But yeah, I mean, these guys are a really interesting standing for zombies, because like, they're almost human, but at the same time they're not, and they can be quite terrifying. Especially these guys, God. Look at that face. And this exposed chest cavity. That's very disturbing. And then we got these guys, who I presume are supposed to be Marines that have been converted, but who knows. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because like I say, I don't think zombies were a huge thing at the time, but they were still a thing. So it's not like it was the obvious choice to put zombies in, but these guys are almost zombies, you know. They're not like is it the Shambler from Quake, or like the, I'm trying to think of another monster, or like even the ogre from Quake. Why am I talking about Quake? You know what I mean? Like, they're not inhuman monsters, they're human monsters, which I think makes them a bit more scary in some respects. I mean, not as scary as, say, the Rumbler, but they are quite scary. I mean, look at this guy. Is that concept art? Okay. Let's have a look at this, actually. This one's pretty good. Piece of concept art somebody did. But look at that, you got the face, somebody's face, like popping out of the flesh of the Rumbler. Because it is just basically this giant amalgamation of flesh. Which I guess means it has a lot of things in common with some of the Resident Evil enemies, actually, or Resident Evil bosses. Like the G-Virus monsters and stuff like that. But yeah, I find it an interesting game in general, System Shock 2, because it does have some really interesting ideas in it. Like, I mean, you've got the way we're this augmented soldier. We're human, but we've had parts of our humanity taken away from us, so we can become a better soldier, a better machine, a more efficient killing machine, basically. And you've got stuff like the cyborg midwife. And I mean, look at that. I mean, in this case it's forced, and I mean, I guess in our case it was forced as well. Spoilers if you haven't watched the rest of the playthrough, which is a bit weird if you're just watching this. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know how much this came up in sci-fi at the time, but it at least seems novel to me. Like, it's the sort of things I'm interested in sci-fi. The barriers and the sort of the moral barriers and ethical barriers that we have to consider as the future becomes reality. Like, I mean, in her case, like, even say in particular Erin Bloom, she didn't have a choice about becoming a cyborg midwife. But like in our case, or even in the case of other members of the crew who may have augmentations, they had a choice. And where does the line come? Like, when are you still human, and when do you stop being human because of how much you've become a machine and how much you've lost of your humanity, like physically and even like metaphorically speaking. Oh god, that's a good piece of art. But yeah, I mean, that gives me Alien vibes. I don't think this is official art, but at the same time, it's so good. God damn, look at that. Look at this. But yeah, I mean, I think that's some of the things the game brings up. Like, its issue. I don't think it's necessarily intentional, but I think when you have this sort of material, it brings up those ideas, and it brings up those ideas of like, or it brings up ideas of like, what if we did that to ourselves? Do we still count as being human? I mean, if you did that to yourself, you wouldn't, but you know what I mean? Like, if you just modded your eyes or whatever, and you had ocular implants that allow you to see in the dark, do you lose a piece of your humanity when you lose your human eyes? I think the analytics themselves and the many, like the contrast between Shodan and the machine world she offers and the many is interesting as well, because the many, well, I mean, you've got the many, you've got us as humans, and you've got Shodan's side, haven't you? So on the Shodan side, it's all about becoming part machine and increasingly machine. She believes the machine parts are superior to the human parts, but then in becoming a machine, or more machine-like, though you may improve your abilities, are you losing your humanity in the process? and then there's us in the middle who are like, well, we're human, we have these drives, we have these impulses, but we do want to be better at what we need to do, you know, whether or not that's real stuff or whether or not that's you know, real life stuff, actual jobs, or whether or not it's like the stuff we improve in the game, like our ability to shoot, our ability to take hits, etc. And then and also be individuals inside of like a human community, you know, interact how humans do with one another. And then on the other side you've got the many, which is just like a giant mass, a singular intellect with many individual parts, many individual organic parts, which all add up to one giant intellect. And do we want to make a choice there? Do we want to stay human? Do we want to give in to the many like some of the crew did? Or do we want to join Showdown? I mean, we don't get that choice in the game. And I would imagine most of us would still choose being human. But it'd be interesting if we did have a choice. But yeah, I think the game does bring up some interesting questions. I think the only other thing I want to look at is, or show off, is just some of the concept art for the game. I don't know how much I can show off though. Can we show off the? Can we show off the human stuff? Oops. There we go. There's old goggles. So I want to show off some of the character art for the humans, like the Marines. I mentioned this during a playthrough. You can find more online. I think the artist behind it, Gareth Hines, has some on his website. I think his website's just literally garethhines.com. But like, look at these. I mean, if these don't give you an Aliens vibe, I don't know what they do. Aliens vibe with augmentations. I mean, I think the augmentation thing is something Deus Ex goes into as well. Like, in some respects, Deus Ex feels like a spiritual successor to System Shock 2. And I mean, not in a direct way, but like it explores, as well as like exploring more of the gameplay elements, expanding on the gameplay elements that System Shock 2 had. It also feels as though it took the themes of like, is it transhumanism I want to say? Becoming more than just human. Like the stuff that you see in like Human Revolution, Deus Ex Human Revolution, explored in there. It took those themes and expanded on it some more. In the same way, or expanded on it in a way that System Shock 2 had explored it. I think it's transhumanism, isn't it? Yeah, other than that, there's these two pieces of art I want to show. I believe this is coming down somewhere into the ship. And I believe the purple elements are annelid mass. I guess before they decided on a design for the annelids maybe. And then this one I like a lot. I remember seeing this and really enjoying it. I think it looks amazing. So some things I want to note. He has an ammo counter on his gun, which I think is an Aliens reference. And then you notice the creature, the hybrid. First of all, he has a knife and he's horribly dismembered somebody. But the hybrid mass doesn't really work. The hybrid mass is like, I think, some sort of silica creature. rather than the worm parasite. I think I did go through like different design ideas for what the hybrids would look like and what the parasite creatures would look like. And I guess this is one of the earlier phases. I am kind of a bit sad it didn't end up like that. I mean, at least from the picture, it looked like some sort of metal monster, like metal creature parasiting itself on people, which does sound really cool. I mean, the end result, the analogues are pretty decent, but like the idea that it's so alien that it could almost be like a piece of metal fusing itself into your body is really interesting. And then we've also got the marine on the right of the picture with his augmentations, and then his UNN, is it? Jacket. But like I say, I think there's more on Gareth Harding's website, or a few more anyway. Some really good designs for what the ship was expected to look like. But yeah, goddamn this art. And this one as well. Really gives you a sense of the creepy atmosphere they're trying to go for with the game. And I think they mostly pulled it off. I mean, it is quite a scary game at times. I mean, I think the fact that technology has changed so much has reduced its impact somewhat. But even now, like the way the enemies just spawning randomly behind you, and they're so quiet, and they come out of nowhere, still creeps me out a lot. I think it is a really well done game.